gentlemen, welcome to beautiful Lansing, Michigan, capital city of the great state of Michigan and the home of the Big Ten powerhouse Michigan State Spartans. We are gathered in Lansing at the Civic Center on a beautiful spring day to watch skateboarding action at its best in the WSA Modern Skate Mid-Michigan Skateboard Classic. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Jam, and we are going to be seeing some of the top pros in the country skating today on vertical half-pipe ramps. Actually, 2 ramps back-to-back, guaranteeing some spectacular action. Let's take a moment to meet the skaters who will be skating in the finals today. Danny Way, 15 years old from Vista, California. Danny's the youngest pro on the tour. And 18 years old from Vista, California, John Sonner. Very smooth, stylish skater. Tony Magnusen, the veteran, 26 years old from San Diego. Sergey Ventura from Virginia Beach, Virginia, 18 years old, skating for 6 years. And Reese Simpson, 22 years old from Encinitas, California. The skaters are going to be judged on the maneuvers that they pull off as they reach the top of the ramp. As you see, they go up in the air, and then they usually set up for some sort of maneuver, come down, and set up to go on the other side. And in this case, they are going to be transitioning occasionally from the big ramp to the small ramp. Let me describe the ramp for you. They are actually 2 vertical half-pipe ramps, back-to-back, linked together by what is called a spine. And they are going to be using the big ramp mainly. That is a 24-foot wide, 11-foot high ramp. The smaller one is a mini ramp. It's 8 feet high, 16 feet wide. There you see our guys going into the finals now. We're getting ready with the first run of Reese Simpson. Reese Simpson dropping in now. He's from Encinitas, California. He's 22 years old, and he is getting off to a smooth start. Transitioning back and forth, up to the top of the ramp, setting up, back down, and ready to do it again as he comes to the other side. You see him using the lip of the ramp. There's a nice invert. Beautiful upside-down maneuvers. They plant their hands on the lip there and get the board up over their head. Sometimes they hang on to the board, and sometimes they don't. Reese is a 3rd-year pro. He's been skating for 12 years. Very nice tail slide there over the spine. It's a rock and roll. Transitioning to the other ramp. Slides across that coping there, and again, transitioning to the big one, and he loses it. Let's look at that. There you see, as he came over the spine, the board just kind of slipped out from under his feet. Reese goes down. That'll be it for him. And he scores a 91.5. That's a very fine score. This is Sergey Ventura, and you see him now dropping in, trying to get over that ramp. He just lost it trying to make that transition. So he is going to start again. If you fall on your first trick, you do get a restart, or they call it a rebate in the sport. Sergey now, back and forth. He's from Virginia Beach, Virginia. That's called a disaster. And rock roll. Sliding across the coping there. Now he's going to transition to the smaller ramp. Now the skaters have told me that this is actually a new wrinkle for them. For the majority of them, they are not used to skating on ramps that are back-to-back like this. So transitioning from one ramp to another is something that they're all not particularly familiar with. Some of the veterans are, but the younger skaters, it's going to be a new wrinkle, and they're having some problems with it. I think that the skater who uses that transition a little bit more is going to get some additional points for it, and it's probably going to help their cause. Sergey Ventura with a nice run, finally goes down. Let's look at one of these maneuvers. You see these guys get very high up in the air. They are able to twist the board around. They do incredible things, and they work very hard and practice very hard to gain this skill. The judges are going to tabulate the scores right now, and we are going to take a short break, but don't you go away. We'll be back in Lansing, Michigan for more of the Mid-Michigan Skate Classic.
Gold medal dreams take shape at the United States Olympic Festival, live on ESPN.
Welcome back to Lansing, Michigan and the Mid-Michigan Skate Classic. I'm Steve Jam, and we are getting ready for more competition. Before the break, we saw Sergey Ventura's run, and he scored on that run at 88.0. Now we're watching John Sonner. John, 18 years old from Vista, California, and he's going to have to beat Sergey's score. Nice. That was called a Mick twist. That's a 540-degree rotation right there. John pulled it off very nicely. John has been skating now for 5 years, and this is his first pro contest, and John is doing a very nice job. See him just sliding along the lip of the ramp there. Now he's up on the spine, reverses himself and comes down, slides along the lip. trying to string these maneuvers together and make them as smooth as possible. Smith grind there, and an invert. And another one. John has not made use of the mini ramp yet. As I mentioned earlier, these guys are not really familiar with a ramp built just like this one is, so consequently they tend to spend most of their time on the bigger vertical ramp. And that's where you're going to see the big tricks. Nice, that was called a varial, switching the board, flipping the board around under his feet as he goes up in the air, and John is going to call it quits. That was a very nice run by John Sonner. Let's look at that McTwist again. 540 degrees, 1.5 rotations, nice and smooth. So John Sonner with 88.5 on that last run, and now here comes Danny Way. Danny Way starting right off with a McTwist himself in a one-footed air. He is really hot. This kid is 15 years old. He's the youngest pro on the tour. He took a real bad spill this morning. Oh, there was a varial. You saw him shifting the board, and another one. He is really hot, doing a lot of flashy tricks out there. He hurt himself, as I was about to say, as he transitions to the smaller ramp. He hurt himself in practice, came down on his tailbone very hard, and yet he has managed to pull himself together and get a nice routine going here. Now he's back onto the big vertical ramp. Tail sliding. And there's called rock and roll. Beautiful moves. This guy is really putting them together. You'd never know that he's hurting right now. There's an invert. Another one. Very nice. He kind of spun the board there right at the last second before he hit the ramp. Back and forth, keeping the momentum. Axel stall. Now he's up, and he's doing another. That was a backside air. Another. Getting ready for, oh, very nice. He does a 360 transitioning from the big ramp to the small ramp. Very nicely done. He's going to get some good points for that, you can be assured. Rock and roll. And another one. Back off the top of that spine. And another McTwist. He goes down. Wasn't able to hang on, and Danny's going to hang it up now. That'll be it for Danny Way. Very nice routine. And everybody seems to like that. Let's look at that transition. Beautiful, just like a ballet dancer, right across the spine of the ramp and onto the smaller mini ramp. So Danny Way now scores a 92.6. That puts him in the lead, and Tony Magnusen is the next skater he is going to have to beat, a 92.6 to get into the lead. He stalls, and he drops in, and he's going to slide along the tail. Tony Magnusen, also having injured himself earlier in the competition today. He hurt his arm. So Tony is getting some great height, though. I was just going to say he is very well known for getting very high aerials and doing a lot of fancy tricks. There's an ollie. He didn't even touch the board then. He does a lot of no-hand tricks. There's another one. These are all ollies. Whenever you're not touching the board, it's called an ollie, and he's doing lots of variations on that. Tony is a veteran. He's 26 years old. He's been skating for 14 years, and he's hot right now. But I can tell you this, you would see a lot more out of Tony if he was a little healthier. There's a nice McTwist, kind of a variation on it, and he likes that. He pulled it off. Tony's getting hot right now. Nice stalls on the platform, drops in again. And another stall. Comes up to the top of the rock and roll. And there's a nice rail-grabbing 360. Tony giving him a nice show here. There's another ollie. That's a front side ollie. Tony Magnusen, 8 years as a pro, doing a fine job with an injury today, and catches the rear truck on the board on the lip of the ramp, goes down. He's going to score 87.5, which will give Danny Way the victory with 92.6 points. Let's talk with our winner. Well, after a hard-fought contest, this is our winner. This is Danny Way, the youngest pro on the tour. Danny took a tough fall earlier in practice today, but he came back in style and won the event. Danny, first of all, I want to tell you that was a fantastic performance. You had a lot of good competition out there today. What do you think was the trick or tricks that did it for you?
I just put all my hardest tricks in one line, as much as I could put in there.
Once again, Danny Way is our champion, and that'll do it now from Lansing, Michigan.
Brought to you by Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. And by your Toyota dealer. Whatever car or truck you choose, you'll love the quality. Who could ask for anything
Ford
more?
Classic in Lansing, Michigan.
more exciting than skating a half-pipe ramp, skating back-to-back half-pipe ramps. Hi, everybody. I'm Mike Chamberlain, and welcome to the finals of the Michigan Skateboard Classic. Today, we're going to see the top 5 amateur experts going for the first-place trophy. The skaters are excited because they will be riding a unique ramp today, and we should see some ultra-hot skating by these future pros. The back-to-back ramp can be a challenge, and we'll talk more about that later. But first, let's meet some of the skaters that should do well here today. We've got Tom Boyle, the Rock from Toronto, Canada. He's 19 years old, and he's into speed and height. We also have with us Mike Conroy of Virginia Beach, Virginia. He's also top-notch, skates with aggression and power, and likes those backward moves. Sean Miller is another man to keep your eyes on. He's from Doylestown, Pennsylvania. He likes pulling off McTwist and working off that lip. Let's go down right now to Steve Gem for some information on the ramp.
As with any skateboard contest, the ramp itself is the main showpiece of the event. And in this case, we have a very interesting ramp. Behind me, you see what is called a vertical half-pipe ramp. It is 24 feet wide, 11 feet high. It's got a masonite skating surface with steel pipe coping at the lips on the top of the ramp. Now, that's to keep the lips from getting chewed up when these guys do their tail slides and lip grinds. Now, the thing about this ramp that really makes it unique, though, is right up here. This is called a spine. And what the spine does is it connects the big ramp to a smaller mini ramp. Now, this is an 8-foot-high mini ramp. It is 16 feet wide, and it is about 3 feet off the ground. What that does is it evens up the sides of the ramp. Now, what is going to be the problem here is the idea that the skaters are going to have to come from the big vertical ramp, transition over to the smaller mini ramp. This can cause problems because these skaters, most of them, are not really used to doing that. So we ought to see some very interesting action as they make that transition.
Okay, first up is one of the skaters rounding out our top 5, Justin Lynch from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And Justin drops in, backside air, lean air, backside air again, mute air, and very high. This is called a Madonna, frontside air, and another Madonna. Now, the skaters are being judged on how many maneuvers they can put together successively, as well as difficulty and smoothness. So, Justin Lynch, and a 50-50 grind to a fakie, fakie ollie to a tail, frontside ollie revert. So, a good ride for Justin Lynch from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Now he's going to work his way into the small ramp. The judges want to see the riders use the whole ramp, and he's doing a very good job of that as he drops in one more time and will now go back to the big ramp. Backside ollie. Body jar. That's called the rock and roll. And a fakie rock. Fakie axle grind. And he finishes with a feeble fakie grind. Excellent run for Justin. He really showed his versatility performing this high mute air, and that's an incredible Madonna. Justin scores an 88.8 on his final run. Up and riding now is Sean Miller, and he pulls off a McTwist right away. That's a very difficult maneuver. That's a backside invert. And Allegarial, there's the rock and roll, rolls across the spine, stalls on the coping, grabs his rail, and drops back in. Sean said he liked working the lip, and we're seeing that right now. And oh my goodness, he slid all the way down the face of the ramp sideways, kept his feet on the board so that he can continue if he has the energy. Skating half pipes is a very physical thing, and it really works your lower back, your muscles, and all of your leg muscles too. So Sean is still going, never did fall off the board. And there's a nice frontside stand-up. Beautiful rock and roll slide, nicely outstretched. Big air into the small ramp. Now he returns to the big ramp with a tail block drop into the rewind grind. Tail block. That's called a fakie ice plant, a fakie disaster. And Sean is still working the lip. He must have had his Wheaties this morning or Fruit Loops or something. It looks like Sean is finally running out of gas after a tremendous run. He just about lost it at one point, if you recall, and recovered to score some more points. So our hats off to the young man from Minneapolis who finally collapses after a real skateboard workout. So a good run for Sean, pulling off some good maneuvers, a score of 86.8. Not enough, though, to beat Justin Lynch. We'll be back with more skating from Michigan after this.
Jam, and we are now looking at our third man of the top 5. This is Tom Boyle from Toronto, Canada. Drops in and does a beautiful McTwist right off the bat. Real nice. Backside air. And another backside air. And there's a third one. And now he goes front side. Really getting it going here. That's called an Indy air. And a pass plant to a Madonna. Nice move. There's a front side ollie slider. And that is called a body jar. He's got a nice move going. A backside slide. And that was a tail pivot. And, oh, nice Smith grind. He almost gets hung up there, but he hangs on. Great balance. If he would have gone down at that point, he would have been done with his routine. And that's a backside air. That's a move called a saran wrap. Nice. Very nicely done. And a varial. That's even trickier. This guy's putting them together. There's a fast plant to a fakie. Oh, he loses it, but not before pulling off some amazing back-to-back tricks. Tom Boyle, what a fine routine that was. Looking at the replay, you see very fluid performance. And I'll tell you, he didn't skimp on the difficult maneuvers. So Tom Boyle scores an 88.9, and now he is the man to beat. And up next is Brian Boyd from Springfield, Virginia. He drops in and does an invert to another invert, and a lean air to tail, a front side air, and a backside air. Another backside air. He's getting some nice height, and a front side air. And that's called a stale fish to tail with a rock and roll. Nice backside disaster. And he transitions over the spine to the small mini ramp again. The skaters score higher by using the whole ramp, even though the smaller one is easier to ride. Back to the big ramp now. Nice transition. And a Smith grind. There's a front side air to tail. And, oh, nice, a disaster to revert. And another disaster. And another. This guy is one big disaster. And a fakie rock and roll. Brian Boyd really putting together a nice routine here. He's got to beat an 88.9, as I said earlier. And Brian Boyd finishing up his run with consecutive lip tricks. Difficult to do, but will it be enough to eclipse Tom Boyle's 88.9? Brian showed some real skill with this. Just doing some very nice board control there on the lip, and he scores an 87.6, which is not enough to beat Tom Boyle's 88.9. So Tom Boyle still the man to beat. And the next skater getting ready to drop in is Mike Conroy of Virginia Beach, Virginia. He's up on the ramp now, and he drops in. Starting it off with a 50-50 slide to a fakie, and a disaster. Nice tail pivot there. And an axle grind. Axle grind to a backside air, very nicely done. And that's called a big stale fish air. And a backside air, styling it. Fakie rock and roll and slide. He's on that spine, stalls on top, goes back down, comes up with a fakie to disaster, and there's a 50-50. And a big fakie air, nicely done. There's a twister. And a front side ollie, no hands. A pivot, and there's a beautiful invert. And a sad plant. Oh, and a finger flip invert. This guy is really pulling off some great tricks. A Madonna to tail and a backside air. Oh, a huge fast plant to fakie. And a 180-degree fakie rock. Hey, and fakie ollie and loses it. But what an awesome run. Mike Conroy. He pulled out all the stops and went for it. He pulled an incredible high fakie air. Let's watch. Look at that. Isn't that nice? The finger flip invert was also very difficult. Let's look at that. How about that? And the big fast plant to fakie will earn Mike an 89.5 to give him the victory. So the results are: first place, Mike Conroy; second, Tom Boyle; third place, Justin Lynch; fourth, Brian Boyd; and fifth place, Sean Miller. Mike Conroy, a very happy winner of this event, did a great job up against a lot of terrific skaters. And here is our winner. This is Mike Conroy. Mike capturing the final event with some great skating. Mike, first of all, there were a lot of great skaters out there competing against you. What was the trick or the tricks do you think put you out in front?
I don't think it was any certain trick. I just tried to stay on and skate really strong with a lot of power and stuff. Mainly just stay on. And I don't know, I guess we pretty much did what I wanted to.
Well, how do you feel right now after winning this?
I feel pretty good.
A terrific contest. For Mike Chamberlain, I'm Steve Jam. So long now from Lansing.